For this demo of the shadow macro, I've simply created a drawing with some 3D modelling entities in it. We've got a cylinder, a cone, a torus, a sphere, we've got a polygon with a void in it, and we've got a slab. So let's invoke the macro and we'll work down the menu of the macro. So obviously we need to tell the macro which direction north is. So currently it's pointing straight up. We simply select 2 points to choose a new direction, and the arrow in the bottom left corner is updated to indicate that. We can dismiss that arrow simply by pressing the escape key. So we've specified north. We obviously also need to know where the sun is, so we'll click that option. There are two ways we can enter position. We can manually enter the azimuth and altitude if we know them and want to enter them manually, but more often than not, I suspect we'll be using the sun calculator, and that will calculate the positions based on input, location, date and time. So we can see I've previously been using Rotterdam, but I think I have here some coordinates for a location in New Zealand, and there we are. We'll input those coordinates. I missed a decimal point. Select the appropriate time zone for New Zealand, +12, there we go, and we'll tell it where we are. This abbreviation will default automatically. It's quite often not what you want, so we'll go in and key in something which will know exactly what we mean. So now we've specified the place, we need to specify the when. So that's in the bottom half of the screen here, where we've got 4 dates along there and 4 times along there. We can enable or disable any of those, so we can calculate the sun angles for any combination of date and time. We can obviously change these dates. We'll change this one to today, and we'll enable these two while we're at it, and we might as well enable all the times. Just for the purpose of the demonstration, we'll change one of the times, make that 3:15 instead of 3 o'clock. Now if we press the calculate button, we see that it's calculated altitude and azimuth for all the date time combinations except 5 PM on the 21st of June. If the altitude is below 1 degree, it will display this message and it won't allow you to use that. The shadows are just too long that are generated. So let's for a demonstration, we'll use this 3:15 on today's date, and if I just do a single click on that, it'll transfer those values to the macro. It hasn't yet exited the sun calculator. If I want to, I can export all of them. I'll press that export button, and that'll export all those values back to the macro. So the macro is now returned to the main menu, but if we hover over some position there, we'll see that the altitude and azimuth have been set to August 23rd at 3:15 PM for Dinsdale, New Zealand. If we go back into the sun position menu, we'll see that the filter here has been set to Dinsdale, New Zealand, and we have here all the date time combinations that we calculated on the function keys. Now we're really just interested in the August ones right at the moment, so I'll enable that filter for August, Dinsdale, and I can spell, and now we've just displayed the August ones, so it makes it easier to select the ones you want. And we've already got this one selected, but we could select any of these from here and set them, but we'll just click that one again. And so we've set the sun position. Sun's eye view I'll come back to a bit later. Entities, so we need to tell the macro which entities we want to cast shadows of, and for the purposes of a macro it uses one of the selection sets, and you can decide which selection set you want to use. If you're already using one for something else, and obviously you won't use that one, but we'll use selection set 1 and we'll add these entities to that set. And the entities have been highlighted there just to confirm that they've been selected. If we go back down to the main menu now, we can just press escape to get rid of that highlight. If we can't, not sure if we've set the right entities at any time in the main menu, we can press highlight and it'll highlight those again for us. So I'll just dismiss that again. So the surface, we need to know what surface the shadows are being cast on. So if we press that, we'll see we have two options. We've got a fixed Z, which simply specifies a horizontal plane at a specified Z height, or we can use a pre-existing polygon to define the surface. So I haven't got a polygon set up here right now, so we'll go with fixed Z. We might just change that for the purpose of the demo to -100 millimeters. And now we return back to the main menu. So we've set up north, we've set up sun position, we've set up our entities, we've set up our surface. We're ready to actually calculate and create the shadows. The shadows will be created in the current colour. So we'll just set that to whatever we want. We'll have magenta shadows for this particular one. And we'll press the start button. It's processing. It just takes a few seconds. And there are our shadows. Now, of course, you might want to do a sun study to see what the effect of the shadows are going to be on an adjacent building, in which case you might want to look at the wall of that building. So what we'll do is we'll define a vertical polygon which we'll say we've set up to be the wall of an adjacent building. I'll set my Z base to -100 so it marries up with that horizontal plane we used before, and we'll say that it's 5 meters high. Okay, and we'll just draw a polygon through here. Now if we go back into the macro, for surface we can say polygon. It's saying select the polygon. We're going to select that one, and then we're going to return to the main menu. The trim shadow, you'll notice there is enabled. That will trim the created shadow just to the area of that polygon. If we were to uncheck that box, then the polygon would be used to define effectively what's an infinite plane, and the shadow drawn could obviously extend past the edges of a polygon. But right now we're just into that polygon. I'm going to change the colour. We'll draw these ones in brown. And there we go, we see it's created shadows for 5 entities. Now the reason there's only 5, we've got 6 entities we'd selected, but this torus obviously isn't casting a shadow that extends as far as the polygon we defined. So that's why that's not there. Now we can't see the shadows because they're on the vertical polygon and we're looking straight down, so we'll need to change our view to actually see them. And here we get an idea of the shadows, so we can see the shadows on the vertical wall there have been created. One interesting thing, if we identify those shadows, we'll see the symbol name tells us exactly what they are. So this is a shadow for August 23rd at 3:15 p.m. in Dinsdale, New Zealand, and there's a date and time stamp when it was created. Likewise, this one will have exactly the same details except a different date and time stamp because we created it first. One thing you'll note, the polygon had a void in it. That void is filled over. In Spirit, the void processing doesn't work. So long as you're not too concerned about that, you can use polygons to your heart's content, and they'll cast perfectly good shadows. It's just the voids which don't work in this version. If we wanted to do the shadows for a different time, we would select different sun position. We might go for 9 AM, and we'll do these in a different colour again. Grey will be fine, and press start. And of course 9 AM the shadows are, sun's going to be in the east, shadows are going to be heading towards the west, and our vertical polygon here is on the eastern side, so that's why we got no shadows created there. We choose another time again, 5 p.m. obviously we'd expect that we would get some shadows this time. Let's start. And there are our shadows for 5 p.m. Obviously they're a bit longer than the 3:15 p.m. ones. And this time we've got our tourist casting a shadow onto the wall. What else did I say I was going to show you? The sun's eye view. We'll have a look at that. What that does is it actually puts the drawing prediction into a parallel view looking from the sun's position. So we've already cast shadows. It's not really all that useful, but if you're just trying to visualize where shadows are going to go, you can use this. And if you press highlight here, it highlights the entities that we're casting shadows off, and the surface. The shadow surface is also highlighted. The surface is highlighted with longer dashes there, but that makes it pretty easy to see where the shadows are going to be cast. Just visually visualize where they're going to be. And I think we've shown you just about all there is to it. Really, it's not terribly complicated. So thank you for watching this demo.